Okay, so if you keep up with Disney park history, you've likely heard the story about how Disney named Splash Mountain after the Daryl Hannah Tom Hanks film Splash. This is true. Even though the ride itself is themed after Song of the South, the name of the ride is based on the 1984 Touchstone film. It was one of Michael Eisner's very strange takes on synergy. But did you know that it wasn't the first time that Disney tried to work the Mermaid film into the parks? In fact, just a little over a year after the movie came out, Disney announced plans for an entire fourth gate at Disney World that was going to be named Splash. 1986 was an exciting year to be a Disney World fan. Just the summer before, the company had announced that they were going to be building a third gated attraction at the resort based on the magic of filmmaking. It was going to be a partnership with the Hollywood Legends MGM, and this Disney MGM studio tour was going to try and be the foil to a potential Universal Studios tour in Orlando that was talked about for quite a while. Now this is normally where the news would stop because a new gate is a pretty big deal. It takes a few years to build, and then it has to open, and then it finds its legs and it evolves a bit, and that's when we start to think about the next one, right? Well, not this time. On December 2nd, 1985, less than 6 months after the announcement of the studio tour, the company announced their plans for a fourth gated attraction at Disney World. It was going to be what they called a water theme park, and it was going to be named Splash after the film. Now, it's important to note that this wasn't going to be just any old water park like River Country, which was already open at that point. According to Disney World president at the time, Richard Nunes, Splash was a, quote, long-planned water-themed attraction that would serve as the focal point for a moderately priced hotel and a shopping complex. They never got as far as detailing the attraction plans, but they repetitively kept referring to them as rides. And it kinda made sense, right? Like up until that point, everything else had been wildly different from one another. Magic Kingdom was basically Disneyland, and Epcot Center was sort of this perpetual World's Fair, and now you had this backstage studio tour coming. So yeah, of course the fourth gate was going to be completely different from the rest. To add to the complexity of this new project, it was rumored that there would eventually be a monorail extension that ran from Epcot Center to this new park. And that's in addition to the other plans that were going around, in which Disney was going to extend the monorail from Epcot to the Walt Disney World Village, which today is Disney Springs. This is why, at least for that year, Splash was referred to as their fourth gate by the media. The plans were even a big enough deal that it worried the competition. Just a month before the announcement of Splash, hotel owner Gary Larson had received approval for a $5 million bond to build a water park near Disney on US 192 called Watermania. However, he realized he wouldn't be able to compete with Disney's Splash, and that his only chance would be to change up the project and focus on being a low-budget alternative. So he ended up cutting the scope and budget of Watermania in half, and removing a number of planned features. It worked, by the way, and Watermania would go on to open in 1986 and remained in business for 19 years. So what happened to Splash? Well, like a lot of plans at Disney, they changed. The company was working on a new resort in France, and that was going to be pretty expensive. They decided to take on the downtown Orlando nightlife scene by building their own group of clubs near Walt Disney World Village, and that wasn't cheap. They were also working on a new deluxe resort along the Disney World monorail route called the Grand Floridian. These projects cost money. So on February 5th, 1987, after over a year of being known as Splash, Disney unveiled their plans for that fourth gate. It had been renamed Typhoon Lagoon. Both the attached shopping complex and the hotel were gone. Instead, it was located just across the street from the shopping complex they already owned, and while there would be moderate resorts coming to Disney World, they'd end up spread out across the property. The rumors of a monorail extension from Epcot never materialized, and to that point, the plans for a monorail extension to the Walt Disney World Village disappeared as well. Typhoon Lagoon was touted to have an impressive $20 million budget. And like all Disney projects, it would have a theme and a backstory, but its reduced scope left it more along the lines of just a water park. Suddenly, it wasn't their fourth gate anymore, because even the media knew that it was silly to consider a water park a new gate. Of course, that didn't mean the crusade to work Splash into the resort was over. The summer after Splash became Typhoon Lagoon, Disney detailed their plans for that group of nightclubs by the Disney World Village. It was going to be called Pleasure Island, and it was announced that one of those clubs was going to be named Madison's Dive after the main character of the film. That too would never materialize. Now, it's easy to poke fun at this bizarre insistence to work Splash into the parks because if you're a Disney fan, it's not really the kind of film you'd expect to see there. But it's important to consider the context of the era. In 1984, Walt Disney Productions was in serious financial trouble, and Splash ended up being their saving grace. With a nearly $70 million box office take against an $11 million budget, it was, no exaggeration, their biggest hit in nearly 2 decades. They hadn't seen success like that since the 1960s with The Jungle Book and The Love Bug, and that was around the era when Walt had passed away. So beyond being a massive financial success right when they needed a massive financial success, it served as the light at the end of this long, depressing Waltless tunnel. It offered the hope that there would be a way forward for them as a company that included making more modern films that didn't just stick to the Disney formula. So in a way, it made perfect sense that they wanted to fold this film into their theme parks. It represented a new beginning for their company. Of course, the way they wanted to do it was kind of weird, and ultimately it wasn't their first try or even second try that got the job done, but it got done. It would end up being Splash Mountain, where the Mermaid film got its extremely subtle nod in the ride's name. Now, how that synergy was supposed to actually work, I have no idea, unless their plan all along was to name the ride after the movie so that 30 years later Disney fans would talk about the connection on YouTube, in which case, good job, Disney. It worked.